In July 2025, something truly special happened in the world of Mopar enthusiasts and American muscle car collectors. Troy Bergeron, the man behind the popular YouTube channel Mopars 5150, stumbled upon and purchased a 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona that had remained within the same family from the day it was new. It's the kind of discovery that resonates across car culture, not simply because of the model's rarity, but because of the powerful storytelling that accompanies such finds. The Daytona isn't just any muscle car. It's an icon born of speed, regulation, innovation, and the unrelenting spirit of Chrysler engineers who dared to push boundaries. What follows is a deep dive exploration, an automotive feature-length journey that takes us through this Daytona's backstory, its unique specifications, the legendary history of the model, the restoration challenges, and the modern-day market realities that make cars like this headline-worthy. We'll also situate the Charger Daytona within the broader context of NASCAR history, collector car auctions, Mopar fandom, and the powerful nostalgia that continues to fuel the American love affair with muscle cars. This is not just about one vehicle. It's about what it represents: innovation under pressure, cultural legacy, and the undying devotion of enthusiasts. The Dodge Charger Daytona was born out of necessity, but it became a legend by design. By the late 1960s, NASCAR racing had grown into a competitive battlefield, and Dodge needed a car that could dominate on the oval tracks against Ford's aerodynamic Torino Talladega and Mercury Cyclone Spoiler 2. Chrysler engineers responded by creating a machine that would rewrite NASCAR history. The 1969 Daytona, produced in just 503 units for homologation, was not built to turn heads on suburban streets. It was engineered to win races. The recipe was radical. Take the already successful Dodge Charger 500, graft a wind tunnel-tested nose cone onto the front for aerodynamic efficiency, and top it off with a nearly 2-foot-high rear wing designed to generate stability at speeds exceeding 200 miles per hour. The result was the first stock car to break the 200 miles per hour barrier in NASCAR competition, with Buddy Baker piloting a Daytona to 200.447 miles per hour at Talladega Superspeedway in March 1970. The Daytona was unlike anything else on American roads. Some called it ugly, others called it genius, but no one could ignore it. Its appearance was polarizing. The elongated nose and towering rear wing seemed cartoonish to some observers in 1969, but today, those same attributes are celebrated as hallmarks of creative risk-taking in automotive history. Mopar faithful dubbed it a winged warrior, and it earned every bit of that title on the racetrack. The example that Troy Bergeron now owns carries a narrative that stretches beyond technical marvel. Delivered new in 1969, this Daytona entered the care of a family that would keep it for 55 years. Its first primary driver was a woman who used the car as her daily transport for 3 years, racking up approximately 34,000 miles. By 1973, however, the Daytona was retired from active duty. What followed is a story both familiar and heartbreaking to many collectors. The car sat dormant. Worse yet, much of that dormancy took place outdoors, parked under a carport where the elements had their way with it. Improper storage is the silent killer of many classics. Moisture seeping into metal, sun fading paint, rodents nibbling on wiring. Yet this Daytona, through sheer fortune and resilience, avoided complete ruin. The saga took another dramatic turn when the car was stolen. Many classics lost to theft are stripped for parts or vanish forever into hidden collections. But this car's fate was different. The owner's son managed to recover it, saving a piece of family history and, as it turns out, preserving a slice of American automotive heritage. By 2006, the family had decided to begin the long process of restoring the Charger Daytona. Father and son took on the daunting challenge of undoing 3 decades of neglect. For Mopar enthusiasts, restoring a Daytona is not simply a matter of paint and polish. It's about respecting originality, sourcing correct components, and adhering to the factory specifications that give the car authenticity. The restoration took 4 years, from 2006 to 2010. Piece by piece, the Daytona was rebuilt into showroom condition. From the iconic F5 medium green poly exterior to the F8 dark green interior, every detail had to be aligned with the way Dodge intended. The family resisted the temptation to modify or modernize, choosing instead to celebrate the car's purity. The reward for their labor was a second life for the winged warrior. From 2010 to 2024, the Daytona became a star attraction at car shows, a reminder to onlookers of what American engineering once dared to achieve. Crowds gathered around it at events, drawn in not only by its massive wing but by the sheer aura of history that clung to the car. But in 2024, disaster struck again. While being unloaded from a trailer, the Daytona suffered damage to its driver's side rear quarter panel. Though not catastrophic, the incident was enough to shake the family's bond with the vehicle. The son, in particular, began to contemplate parting ways with the car. And so, after 55 years in one family's possession, the Daytona was put on the path to a new home. When Troy Bergeron and his Mopar's 5150 crew learned about the availability of the Daytona, hesitation was not part of the equation. These are enthusiasts who live and breathe Mopar history, who see value not only in rarity and investment but in storytelling. To acquire a 1969 Charger Daytona, even one with damage, is to acquire a cornerstone of muscle car heritage. Troy's enthusiasm was evident when he presented the car during Lou Costabelé's walk-around video at the 2025 Chrysler Nationals in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Astonishingly, he had owned the car for only 2 days. That's the kind of devotion Mopar enthusiasts are known for. Buy the car, bring it to the show, and share it with the community without delay. The fact that this particular example is finished in F5 medium green poly makes it even more special. Production figures tied to specific colors are notoriously hard to pin down, but experts estimate that fewer than 50 Daytonas left the factory in this shade. Pair that with an F8 dark green interior, and you have a rare triple green configuration, a detail that collectors drool over. Values for Charger Daytonas have skyrocketed in recent years. Once dismissed as unsellable oddities in the 1970s, they are now seven-figure auction darlings. In 2023, a Hemi-powered, highly optioned Daytona set a world record by selling for $3.3 million. While Troy's car is equipped with the 440 cubic inch V8 rather than the legendary 426 Hemi, its rarity in color combination and its provenance as a single-family car for over half a century give it significant weight in the collector market. Speculating on value is always tricky. The damaged quarter panel will detract from the price somewhat, but originality, restoration history, and rarity tend to outweigh cosmetic setbacks. If this Daytona crosses the auction block, it would not be unreasonable to expect bids well into the high six or even low seven figures. But value in this context isn't just about money. For many Mopar collectors, owning a Daytona is about securing a piece of motorsport history. It is about standing alongside a select few who can say they possess one of only 503 cars that made history. The Charger Daytona isn't just a car. It's a cultural beacon within Mopar fandom. Events like the Chrysler Nationals at Carlisle exist to celebrate such legends, bringing together generations of enthusiasts. Owning a Daytona, particularly one as rare as Troy's, is akin to holding a relic that binds together decades of automotive culture. The Mopar community thrives on storytelling. Each restoration, each barn find, each acquisition is not simply a transaction but a chapter in a larger narrative. In this sense, Troy's Daytona embodies the Mopar ethos perfectly. From its original family guardianship to its resurrection and eventual transition to Mopar's 5150, it is a story of passion, preservation, and continuity. What happens next for this Daytona remains to be seen. Troy may choose to repair the damage and showcase the car across the country. Or perhaps, in true Mopar's 5150 fashion, it might appear at a high-profile auction, where collectors will fight tooth and nail for the chance to own it. Regardless of its future, its past ensures its immortality. The Charger Daytona represents more than metal, fiberglass, and horsepower. It represents an era when carmakers dared to defy convention, when speed demanded innovation, and when ordinary families could unknowingly become custodians of automotive history. For the Mopar faithful, this story reaffirms a simple truth. Legends are not only created on racetracks but also preserved in garages, carports, and, eventually, the hands of those who recognize their worth. The story of Troy Bergeron's 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona does not exist in a vacuum. It is a tale that connects with broader themes of innovation, preservation, community, and cultural memory. To expand on this narrative, it is worth considering how the Daytona sits at the crossroads of motorsport history and modern enthusiasm. One of the fascinating aspects of this car is how it embodies a moment when automakers were willing to break rules, or at least bend them, to achieve dominance on the racetrack. The Daytona's nose cone and towering rear wing were products of wind tunnel science, but they were also statements of intent. Dodge was not interested in second place. When enthusiasts today see a Daytona, they are not simply looking at a car. They are looking at an era of audacity and creativity that shaped NASCAR and influenced performance engineering for decades to come. This boldness continues to resonate because it reflects something larger than the car itself. American culture has always celebrated the maverick spirit, the idea that one can challenge convention, reimagine possibilities, and win through ingenuity. The Charger Daytona captures that ethos perfectly. To own or even to admire one is to connect with that same spirit of ambition. Equally important is the way such vehicles travel through time, carried by families and communities who keep their stories alive. In this Daytona's case, it was protected, restored, and cherished for more than half a century before being passed on to Troy. That continuity illustrates the deeply personal role cars play in family identity. They are not only machines but also heirlooms, bridges between generations, and reminders of the moments when life was measured in road trips, car shows, or Sunday afternoons in the garage. Collectors understand that every car carries a fingerprint of its previous owners. The scratches, repairs, and even the mistakes made in storage all become part of its biography. This particular Daytona, having survived theft, decades of exposure, and a trailer accident, is almost symbolic of endurance. Like a weathered piece of architecture or a scarred veteran of many campaigns, it wears its history openly. Enthusiasts often say, cars are meant to be driven, but in cases like this, they are also meant to be remembered, scars and all. The rise of digital platforms has amplified this sense of collective memory. Through YouTube, Instagram, and car forums, vehicles that might once have been known only within a small circle of enthusiasts now achieve global recognition. Troy's decision to showcase his Daytona at Carlisle only 2 days after acquiring it, and to feature it online, is part of a new wave of transparency and sharing in car culture. Collectors are no longer content to keep treasures locked away. They want to show them, discuss them, and connect with audiences who share the same passion. In this sense, cars like the Daytona act as nodes in a global network of nostalgia and admiration. A viewer in Europe or Asia may never have seen a Daytona in person, yet through videos and digital storytelling, they can still experience its aura. That accessibility ensures the relevance of such cars to future generations who may not be steeped in the original era but still feel the pull of its legends. Finally, this story underscores the dual nature of value in the collector market. There is the financial value, reflected in million-dollar auction results. But there is also emotional value which often matters more to owners. For Troy and the Mopars 5150 community, the Daytona is not merely an investment. It is a chance to hold history in their hands, to share it with others, and to keep alive a chapter of American ingenuity that might otherwise fade. In short, the 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona remains a living artifact, one that speaks to resilience, family, community, and the timeless appeal of bold engineering. Before moving into the conclusion, it is essential to recognize that its story is not confined to racetracks or auction houses. It is also alive in the conversations it sparks, the memories it carries, and the inspiration it continues to provide to dreamers and builders everywhere. The tale of Troy Bergeron's 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona is a reminder that cars are not static objects. They are living artifacts of history, carrying with them stories of triumph, neglect, recovery, and rediscovery. Built to conquer NASCAR's fastest tracks, the Daytona transcended its racing purpose to become a cultural icon. Preserved for decades by a single family, restored with care, and now passed into the hands of an enthusiast who shares it with the world. This winged warrior embodies the very spirit of Mopar. From its radical aerodynamics to its rare triple green finish, it is a gem that blends engineering ingenuity with human passion. Whether it races across auction blocks or continues to captivate crowds at car shows, its value cannot be measured by dollars alone. It lies in the way it makes people stop, stare, and remember an era when Detroit dared to dream big. At more than 55 years old, this Charger Daytona still commands the same respect it did when it first roared onto NASCAR tracks in 1969. And thanks to caretakers like Troy Bergeron, its story is far from over.